When it comes to financial advice on YouTube, there is so much noise to go through. If you're looking to start working on your finances and you're trying to wonder who to listen to, well, that's what we're talking about today. Based on my experience as an economics professor and years working in financial literacy education, I have summarized the differences in financial literacy education and advice on social media into two very different approaches on this financial literacy education spectrum. On one side, we have Dave Ramsey, and on the other side, we have Ramit Sethi. Today, we are covering these two different approaches and which one you should listen to. When it comes to Dave Ramsey and Ramit Sethi, they differ drastically in their advice and actually how they give that advice. So who should you listen to? The answer to this question is actually complicated because both have pros and cons. To explain their differences, we will discuss how they differ in their approach based on their decision of buying a house. Dave Ramsey's advice on home ownership. Dave recognizes that for most Americans, their biggest asset is going to be their home. He also knows that paying off your mortgage is what we call forced savings, which most people have a hard time doing. So since most people struggle, Dave Ramsey recommends saving through paying off your home. Here are his steps to buying a house and paying it off early. First, you need to be debt-free with a fully funded emergency fund. You need to make sure you can afford monthly mortgage payments and home maintenance. You need to have a good down payment. You can pay your own closing costs. You can cash flow moving expenses. You plan on staying put for a while. And most importantly, you have a real estate agent that you trust. So how much house should you buy? Dave hates debt. His brand and financial advice rely heavily on the concept that debt is bad. So it is no surprise that his advice on getting a mortgage is extremely conservative. His advice is to get a 15-year mortgage and limit your housing payment to 25% of your take-home pay. That 25% includes principal, interest, property taxes, home insurance, private mortgage insurance if it applies, and then also homeowners association fees if that applies to you. In his list of 7 baby steps to financial freedom, Dave Ramsey's advice to pay off your mortgage is number 6 towards your path to financial freedom. So this matters to Dave. Let's compare this to Ramit Sethi. While Dave has rigid steps, Ramit's advice is more flexible. It requires you to identify what you want and need. This flexibility is both good and bad. It is good for those that are comfortable talking about money, researching different options and different approaches, and those that are confident in understanding personal finances. For instance, when it comes to buying a house, Ramit wants you to ask, why are you buying a house? Is it what you really want? Or are you falling for the social pressures that we face? In fact, he would argue against buying a house. He loves renting and suggests that buying a house is a trap. It traps you from moving and reduces your mobility. He also makes the point that you're better off putting any money that goes into home ownership into the stock market. And over the past 30 years, he argues the stock market has had a better return than the housing market, which is true. The bad part of the advice is that it is too flexible. So who should you listen to? I will give you the typical economist answer. It depends. If you are in financial trouble and can't seem to get ahead, then Dave Ramsey is your guy. Dave does a great job of getting people in shape and out of trouble. He does it by stripping away any decision-making opportunities, and after all, bad decisions will guide you into this mess to start with. So if you're wanting to learn about personal finances though, the pros and cons of different approaches, then Ramit Sethi is the person that you need to read up on. His advice relies on you knowing how to evaluate costs and benefits and being able to follow through with your own goals. Like with everything else, be careful of the advice that you hear on social media. Not all of it is good. And sometimes if it is actually good, it might not apply to you. I recommend getting a financial advisor or planner to help you out. Once again, if you're new here, my name is Dr. Abdul Abrani. I go by Dr. A. I'm an economist, economics professor at the Hale College of Business. And on this channel, we take complex economic concepts and make them easier for you to understand so you could live a better life. Make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Tell me how did you like this episode today.